Welcome to Dr. Walls and Friends here on the Sisters in Harmony Network on the beautiful island of St. Lucia. I am surrounded by greatness, so I am just excited that y'all have taken the time to meet with me.
Welcome home.
Oh, well, thank you very much. So this is Jerry George.
Yes.
And I have Dr. King on this side of me. So we had a chance to talk a little off camera about just some of the wonderful projects that you have been doing. Would you please share with the audience the names of the projects and tell us a little bit about the projects?
Okay, well, to try and put it in perspective, well, let me tell you, I'm a pathologist.
Okay.
Right? So, and I do a lot of forensic work. So I do deal with a lot of homicides and police and courts and that system. And what happened is, spinning out of that in many ways, some of us got together and formed a small organization called RISE, which is dedicated to really doing our best to facilitate healthy youth development, youth that are conscious, involved in their personal development, community development, and national development. And from that, of course, you immediately appreciate how important something like education is.
Yes.
Because really, you know, and I'm talking here about holistic education, not just technical education, but whole life skills and the whole way in which we use knowledge to develop ourselves, our communities, and our countries. So we automatically got involved with a lot of youth initiatives that are geared towards education. And some of the key ones I think that we've been involved with. One is the access to tertiary education, which we were talking about earlier, which was getting a cohort of 28 students to go to the Illinois Institute of Technology in Chicago to pursue engineering degrees and computer science, IT management, math, and biology science, and psychology degrees. And that initiative was extremely exciting, a very nationally conscious one. It created a lot of stir. It showed youth that they had the power to stand and demand or actually advocate for themselves. Because we believe actually just advocate for you. We advocate with you on issues that they think.
That's right.
So that's been one major initiative. Another one which I'm really quite pleased to be involved with is the Caribbean Youth Empowerment Program, which we've been running now for the last 2 years together with our partners, the National Skills Development Center, the CARE Institute, which is the Center for Adolescent and Youth Education. And it's actually a brainchild in many ways of the International Youth Foundation based in Washington. And that initiative is targeting youth at risk. Vulnerable youth in prison, in remedial centers, such as our juvenile justice facilities, as well as youth in probation and youth that are otherwise unemployed. And that gives life skills and technical skills. It gives them entrepreneurial opportunities to start their business or employment opportunities to be employed.
Wonderful.
So that's been working quite well with about almost a 55% placement in either a job or a business throughout the program. So far we've handled almost 600 businesses.
Incredible. Jerry, I'm going to give you an opportunity to chime in. What are some of your thoughts about the program?
Well, in the beginning, I was part of the RISE Inc. program, and I have branched off now into education. I'm presently one of the professors at Monroe College, and we recently introduced a media and journalism program. These are some things that I'm really particularly passionate about, and I want to pass on all the skills that I have over 30 years. I have been involved in the media to the younger generation. So basically, I like to consider myself as an independent voice. Where people are afraid to say things, I usually jump in.
Really?
I usually jump in because although I support a party for its good governance, I also don't like to see people taken advantage of. And I think it's my duty and my responsibility, my obligation to speak out wherever I can as far as I'm concerned.
You know, it's interesting, since I've been here on the island, one of the themes that keeps popping up, there's a couple things. One, are people living their passion and purpose? And another thing is giving a voice to the voiceless. And I think that's something that we definitely see around the world as we travel. And as you were mentioning, and I do a lot of work with youth as well back in the States, is just talking about really how to hone that energy so that they can use it for their most positive self, their best self.
Exactly. And I mean, Jerry, being involved as a media and professional himself and teaching media, I think is very important because I think one of the weaknesses in our country is the whole media environment.
Yes.
And the way that media environment can work with the mind of individuals, and for that matter, the national mindset,
Yes.
to create that space where people can argue, discuss, ventilate issues sensibly, find positive solutions, find a way of getting consensus,
Yes.
move forward, to create that whole sense of national identity or national purpose. For instance. And I mean, I'm glad Jerry did that, but he has that consciousness. But I must tell you that I think our media is really lacking. Our media to me is a very reactive type of media, very much sensational side of things, very much a sort of, I think, promotion of some of the things that I think are dangerous to our youth. I mean, be it from the type of music to the type of discussion, to the type of shows that we are airing. So I'm pleased that hopefully we're going to train a couple of young media professionals who can really change that environment for the better.
Now,
It's important for the media to be empowered themselves because too often we see the media, for example, practicing a lot of self-censorship.
yes.
And yes, you can understand that to a certain extent in that, hey, we are a small community and people's lives are more or less tied into all sorts of, family. If I do this, perhaps somebody will want to get back at me and my family life will suffer.
Right.
But at the same time, for those of us who can, of course, we don't want to endanger everybody, but for those of us who can, like myself, I think that once a government has been given a certain power, that power must be sort of be anchored in the empowerment of the people.
Yes.
They are the ones who give you that power. And through servant leadership, you must understand that that power is not yours to do as you want, but it must go down to the benefit of the people.
Yes.
And I think that is what I've been trying to promote, especially for our new crop of journalists, and especially when we talk about politics. We must move beyond the bread and butter issues and see higher heights, if you wish. You know, that there is something bigger and more powerful than just me when we all get together to talk about the things that matter for our country. And it's not just about red, which is for one particular party, or yellow for another political party. It is, yes, you have been given that particular challenge to change. I don't want to hear anything about, but they were doing it when they were in power, because we have already passed that stage. And I want to say, what are you doing differently than the other guys have done so that we can make a transition to something better?
Exactly. Exactly.
I'm so looking forward to icon-building a society where all of us are mobilized and all of us are everyday productive in a learning type of society where we're saying, what knowledge am I going to acquire today? How much to use this knowledge for my development, for my community, and for my country? And and if we can convince government and the people that we need to have a society that creates that type of environment, so that there are after-school programs that are working let's say in the schools for youth to need those, and also for the community to come into the schools or whatever other facility to learn another skill. Because we don't have to learn throughout our lives.
Exactly.
And I would love all our youth to be growing up in a situation or in an environment where everybody around them was industrious, was about something, was discussing things with the positive, rather than and where we can, in a way we are growing more and more in a more degenerate space, where we're more about instant gratification, pleasure. What can we get right now to make us feel better? How can we get a quick money to do a quick something? That type of thinking can only be countered, I think, by that higher thinking that Jerry is talking about.
Right.
But I think one of the things Stephen hasn't mentioned is one of the themes of RISE, which is that any child in St. Lucia is all our children.
Yes.
And I think that if we see a young man erring, if we see a young woman going a wrong direction, it is up to us to say, point the different direction rather than allow that person to say, oh, it's not me, or that person is from a certain community and that's how they behave, etc. This is unacceptable because in a sense we all share the responsibility for raising a child, and it's not only just it takes a village, it takes it beyond it.
Yes.
That from the time the child is born, the child should feel a safe environment where he or she can prosper and can grow, can bloom, to be nurtured and to excel.
Yes.
And it's true we sort of how would I say celebrate when we see excellence, one or two examples, but it should become the norm that all children should have that ability or provide the environment where that ability should be able to produce more than just two.
I agree.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I love when we were off camera, there was a child walking by who did something and you corrected them right on the spot. And that's something we used to see a lot of in the States that we don't see much anymore because of the back talk that we get from a lot of youth. And it's like, oh my goodness, and then we get the back talk from the youth and the parents. And so I often ask children or young people, what is the role of the adults in your life? And they're like, I'm not sure. And I said, take time to think about it. And then after further investigation, they say, well, to help us become successful